Ever felt a cold hand brush past you in an empty hallway? You're not alone. America's haunted history comes alive in exploring its most famous ghosts. Prepare to be spooked. Today, in this video, we will explore the haunting reality of some of the famous ghosts in the United States and uncover the secrets they carry. So stick around and be warned, once you step into the world of ghosts, there's no turning back. The Bell Witch. The Bell Witch was a legendary poltergeist that made life a living nightmare for the Bell family in Adams, Tennessee, from 1817 to 1821. According to bellwitch.org, this mischievous spirit claimed to be old Kate Batt's witch and drove John Bell Sr. and his clan to the brink of insanity. We're talking about constant knocking, creepy scratching sounds, and even physical attacks, like hair pulling. And get this, by the winter of 1817, the kids were getting smacked by invisible hands. Things kicked off when John spotted this bizarre creature, a sort of black dog with a rabbit's head, chillin' in his field. Seriously, even for a poltergeist, that's way out there. But while Kate loved tormenting the youngest Belle, Betsy, and her dad John, she seemed to have a soft spot for Belle's wife, Lucy. Imagine a ghost handing out fruit and crooning hymns to Lucy. And here's something for the daredevils out there. If you're itching for a ghostly encounter, the Bell Witch Cave is the spot to be. Rumor has it that Kate's ghost has set up shop there ever since bidding farewell to the Bells in 1821. It's become a hit tourist spot for those who fancy a thrilling underground adventure. And maybe a little ghostly mischief. Merry Resurrection. Imagine driving down a dark, lonely road late at night. Suddenly, a young woman with pleading eyes appears at the roadside asking for a ride. Would you stop? In the case of Archer Avenue in Illinois, this chilling scenario has played out countless times. And the enigmatic figure at the center of it all is known as Resurrection Mary. Mary's story began in 1939 when a young man named Gerald Palos spotted her dancing alone at a local ballroom. Drawn to her charm and beauty, he asked her to dance. She agreed, and they enjoyed a brief, albeit peculiar encounter. Despite the warmth of their connection, Mary felt strangely cold to the touch. As the night wore on, Palos offered Mary a ride home. She accepted, but with a strange request. They had to travel down Archer Avenue, a route out of the way from her alleged address. On their journey, Mary asked Palos to pull over near Resurrection Cemetery. Before he could grasp what was happening, she dashed across the road and vanished, before reaching the gates. Palos's encounter sparked numerous similar reports over the decades. The ghost, dubbed Resurrection Mary, became a local legend. Witnesses described a young woman often between 18 and 30, with blonde hair and pale skin, dressed in an old-fashioned white or yellow prom dress. She appeared on Archer Avenue and in ballrooms and nightclubs, always with an air of sadness and mystery. Mary's ghostly appearance followed a pattern. Drivers would spot her on the side of the road and offer her a ride, and she would accept. She would be silent and awkward during the ride, and as they approached the cemetery, she would ask to be let out. Then she would vanish without a trace. Some reported seeing Mary dart across the road in front of their vehicles only to have their car pass right through her. The Grey Man. This little piece of paradise is called Pawleys Island in South Carolina, a charming summer spot that's as beautiful as it is prone to getting battered by storms. But lucky for the locals, they've got a ghostly buddy looking out for them, especially when a storm's on the horizon. So meet the Grey Man, a helpful ghostly figure who's been showing up before every big hurricane for the past 2 centuries, playing the role of the island's weather forecaster. This story dates back to a heartbroken young woman waiting for her beau to return home. Tragically, their romantic reunion took a nosedive when their horse stumbled into quicksand, dragging them down like a scene out of some dramatic movie. Heartbroken and devastated, the woman claimed that her lost love appeared to her one day, warning her about danger on the horizon and urging her to flee from the island. She did just that, and lo and behold, when a storm hit, it wrecked practically everything, except her crib. Locals swear by this friendly ghost, saying he's still around, warning people about incoming storms. But everyone's got their weather app now, right? So while the Grey Man's heart's in the right place, he might be a tad late to the party with his storm warnings, thanks to our trusty smartphones. Yet no one's got the heart to break it to him. He's the island's beloved ghostly pal, after all. The Cottage City Poltergeist. It's a chilling story that might not ring a bell by its name, but you've probably heard of its famous book and movie adaptation, The Exorcist, by William Peter Blatty. Now, this spine-tingling story revolves around a young girl possessed by a demon who's really into making her split-pea soup and throwing around some severe profanity at her mum and a bunch of priests. Creepy, right? But according to the Washington City paper, the real deal in 1949 actually involved a 13-year-old boy from Cottage City, Maryland, who went by the mysterious name Roland Doe. If you've seen the movie, you might recall the freaky stuff that went down at Roland's place. Beds shaking like they're in a dance-off, eerie noises, sheets getting yanked off beds, weird writing popping up on the boy's skin, just your usual supernatural shenanigans. Things got so intense that the boy ended up in hospital in St. Louis, where a squad of Jesuit priests decided to roll up their sleeves and perform an exorcism. And guess what? More bizarre stuff happened during this exorcism session. It had to be stopped when he hurt one of the priests and needed stitches. He was sent home, but strange marks showed up on his body, so his parents called the priests again. He made the bed shake, objects flew around, and he spoke in a weird voice. The priests got permission for a second exorcism and the boy went back to the hospital. During the exorcism, words like evil and hell appeared on his body. He even broke a priest's nose. But the boy seemed all sorted out afterwards, so the priests patted themselves on the back for diagnosing a full-blown demonic possession. Bonus point, the Doe family hopped aboard the Catholic train after that experience. Dark Watchers. The Santa Lucia Mountains in California are a stunning yet slightly eerie landscape. Now, most people love hiking and taking in the views there, but there's this one spot, Big Sur, where people get the jitters. Why? Because of the supposed residents. Cue the spooky music. The Dark Watchers. Okay, these Dark Watchers, they're like these tall, shadowy figures reaching up to 10 feet. But they're all mysterious and featureless, except for the rumor mill talking about hats, cloaks, and sometimes walking sticks. Some say they have these spooky white eyes, but not everyone's on board with that description. Now, these watchers show up when the sun's going down or just as it's coming up. They perch themselves on high rocks, silently checking out anyone who happens to stroll by. But here's where it gets eerie. They vanish faster than you can say spooky. They don't stick around for a chat, that's for sure. Nobody's quite figured out what they're about. Are they ghosts? Some other kinds of creatures? The history books don't have much on them, but people have been talking about these shadowy beings for a long time. Even authors like Robinson Jeffers and John Steinbeck have mentioned them in their writings, adding more mystery to the mix. Whether they're guardians or just part of some weird shadow squad, the Dark Watchers continue to keep folks scratching their heads. It's like they're playing a game of hide and seek with us, leaving everyone wondering just what on earth or beyond it is that's lurking in those hauntingly beautiful Santa Lucia Mountains. The RMS Queen Mary. The RMS Queen Mary is a ship that went from being the ultimate crew superstar to becoming a hangout spot for some local haunts in Long Beach, California. Ever since this mammoth ship docked for good in 1967, it's been the talk of the town for all the eerie reasons. Officially, they've tallied up about 49 deaths on board. And let me tell you, the place is crawling with spine-tingling occurrences from one end of the ship to the other. It's so freaky that paranormal investigators from every nook and cranny of the globe flock to California, hoping to catch a glimpse of a ghostly apparition or two. Now, a couple of the most infamous deaths on this cruise liner were downright tragic. The crew member John Pedder, just 18 years old, got squashed by a steel door. Then there's senior second officer W.E. Stark, who took a sip of what he thought was gin. Turns out it was acid. Talk about a rough time. Ever since these unfortunate incidents, people have reported hearing eerie sounds, feeling weird cold spots, and get this, the ghostly sight of a young man in overalls hanging around the very spot where Pedder met his fate. If you're feeling brave enough, you can actually book a tour and explore the spiritually charged spots on the ship. Just remember the golden rule. Don't go sipping on any mysterious drinks, especially if they look like gin. Who knows what you might end up tasting? Which of these ghosts did you find interesting and want to visit? Do let us know, and don't forget to check out the channel for more interesting videos.